All right, so buckle up, because we're diving deep into Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon.
Oh, yeah, this one's a classic.
It is. But we're not just breaking down the cinematography of the plot.
Right.
We're going deeper. We're looking at Barry Lyndon through the lens of the Enneagram,
Interesting.
specifically the Self-Preservation 7.
Ah, sometimes called the keeper of the castle.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. The Enneagram for an 18th century scoundrel.
Right, a little out there, maybe.
But trust me, when you start to apply this system of 9 interconnected personality types, you see Barry in a whole new light.
I'm intrigued. Where do we even begin with this?
Well, we've got some great resources to guide us.
Oh, like who?
We're pulling from the work of some real Enneagram heavy hitters like Claudio Naranjo
Oh, he's brilliant. A bit intense, but insightful.
and Beatrice Chestnut.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
She's great at making the Enneagram accessible.
Exactly. So with their insights as our guide, we're going to uncover some really fascinating stuff about what makes Barry Lyndon tick.
Okay, I'm all ears.
All right, let's start with this idea of the keeper of the castle. It's like Barry's whole deal, right?
Yeah. We'll take his marriage to Lady Lyndon.
Strategic.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, on the surface, it's all about securing wealth and status
Of course it is. But there's more to it for a self-preservation 7.
beyond just the money.
Exactly. Lady Lyndon represents this whole structure of security, social connections, aristocratic legitimacy.
Things Barry never had.
Precisely. It's like she offers him this sense of belonging, a way to finally escape that fear of being left out in the cold.
So it's not just about marrying rich.
No.
It's about marrying into a system that offers a specific kind of safety, a sense of being untouchable.
Right. And this leads us to another key aspect of the self-preservation 7.
Okay, what's that?
Their ability to build what Naranjo calls a good mafia.
Good mafia. Now, hold on, that sounds kind of intense.
It does, but it's such a perfect way to describe how this subtype forms these strategic alliances.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's all about mutual self-interest. They cultivate these relationships that benefit both parties.
And you know, they do it with this charm, wit, and a deep understanding of people.
It's exactly.
I'm already seeing how this applies to Barry. Like, his partnership with the Chevalier de Bellebarre.
Yeah, perfect example.
It's not just friendship. It's this calculated alliance that elevates both of them.
Barry sees the Chevalier's skills, those connections in the gambling world, and he knows they can both win big together.
Mutually beneficial, you're saying.
Totally. It's a win-win that provides security and opportunity for both of them.
But, you know, it makes you wonder, is there any genuine friendship there? Or is it all just a game to Barry?
That is a great question. And it gets to the heart of how complex Barry Lyndon is. Because, yeah, there might be genuine affection there,
Okay.
but his actions, they're always filtered through this lens of self-preservation.
He's always calculating, right?
Always assessing how a relationship can benefit him, bolster his security.
Don't sound very healthy.
It can be a real challenge for 7s.
They're even his closest bonds, there's this element of calculation.
To a degree, yes. It's not that they can't connect. It's that need for security is so deeply ingrained.
It affects everything.
It colors everything, their perceptions, their interactions, all of it. It's like they're always playing this family game, as Naranjo calls it.
This family game, what is that exactly?
Well, it's how self-preservation 7s use family structures to get their needs met, often subconsciously, of course.
Needs like,
Security, advancement, they see family as a system to be navigated, leveraged,
used to their advantage.
essentially a source of comfort and opportunity.
Okay, so how's this playing out with Barry? His family life. It's kind of a mess.
It is, yeah. But even in all that chaos, he's a master at manipulating those family dynamics.
Really? Give me an example.
His stepson, Lord Bullingdon, it's not a warm, fuzzy relationship.
Yeah, there's some tension there.
Right. It's a power struggle from the start.
Barry sees him as a threat, right?
Yeah.
To his whole carefully constructed world.
Exactly. Instead of building a genuine connection, he falls back on those familiar patterns.
Control and manipulation.
Trying to control Bullingdon to mold him into this extension of his own ambition. It's textbook family game gone wrong.
Wow. But it's not just about power, though, is it?
No.
I feel like there's this element of Barry trying to recreate the stable family he never had.
Ah, interesting.
Building that primordial paradise state where everything is perfect, safe, under his control.
You hit on something crucial there. That desire for a perfect, secure world, it's deep in the self-preservation 7.
Like an obsession.
Almost. They're always striving to create this environment where they can finally relax, indulge, and escape that nagging fear of deprivation.
So even his lavish lifestyle, the parties, the constant pursuit of pleasure, it's not just about being a hedonist.
Not entirely, no.
It's all part of this deeper drive for security.
It's about creating a buffer against the world, this feeling of abundance that keeps those fears at bay. For Barry, pleasure and comfort, they're essential parts of his fortress.
Wow. It's amazing how this Enneagram perspective just adds these layers to everything he does.
Great.
What seemed like simple greed or ambition now takes on a whole new meaning. It's like we're seeing the world through his eyes.
Yeah, you start to understand those deep-seated fears and desires that are shaping everything he does.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But as we're seeing, this pursuit of security can have some pretty steep consequences.
Oh, absolutely.
All his manipulations, his power plays, they're all going to come back to haunt him.
That's right. And as his story unfolds, we're going to see how those consequences lead to his ultimate downfall.
Classic case of like what goes up must come down.
Definitely.
Barry's relentless drive for power and control will ultimately set the stage for his own destruction.
Can't wait to break that down further.
Me too. So while we've just scratched the surface here, it's clear Barry Lyndon's story is far from simple.
Yeah.
It's a web of ambition, fear, this longing for security that always seems just out of reach.
Totally. And we're just getting started. As we get deeper into Barry Lyndon's world with this Enneagram lens, it's hard to ignore just how ambitious he is.
Oh yeah, it's not just about being comfortable.
Bro, it's much bigger than that.
It's like this insatiable hunger for power.
Absolutely. Every duel he wins, every social climb, every little whisper of manipulation.
It all points to this need for control. But how does that connect back to the self-preservation 7?
Well, for Barry, power isn't just about ego or status.
Right.
It's about building a wall against that fear of deprivation we talked about.
The ultimate security blanket.
Exactly. It's the insurance policy against ever feeling helpless again.
So even with the wealth, the title, the aristocratic wife, it's still not enough.
Not when that core fear is calling the shots. Think about it. For self-preservation 7, real security means being in control.
Calling the shots.
Yeah, dictating the terms of your existence, taking away the power of fate or other people to mess things up.
So it's not enough to just have the money. You have to have the power to keep it, to grow it.
Exactly. And that's where Barry's strategic mind comes in, that good mafia network we mentioned.
Right.
It's not about making friends. It's about building a web of influence, a safety net.
It's funny. Watching the film the first time, I was struck by how easily he could charm his way into any circle.
Yeah, he's got that charisma.
But now, looking at it through this Enneagram lens, it feels almost predatory.
Oh, interesting take. How so?
Like he's sizing people up, calculating how they can be useful to him.
That's a really sharp observation. And you know what? It's a big part of how self-preservation 7s operate.
They're always on then.
Kind of, yeah. They're always scanning the environment, looking at risks, looking for opportunities.
Always looking for the angle.
Exactly. Figuring out who can help them build that fortress of security.
But that kind of approach, that constant need to be in control, it doesn't exactly make for healthy relationships, does it?
It can be a real struggle, yeah. That drive for security can overshadow everything else.
Like the need for genuine connection, for being vulnerable.
Exactly. And we see this play out in how Barry interacts with the women in his life.
Okay, yeah, like who?
His mother, his lovers, even Lady Lyndon. There's this pattern of using charm to get what he wants, but never really letting anyone in.
Keeping them at arm's length.
You got it. For Barry, relationships are often a means to an end.
Transactional.
Yeah, he can feel affection, even passion, but there's always this layer of calculation underneath.
How does this person benefit me?
Exactly. How can I leverage this connection to get ahead?
So his marriage to Lady Lyndon, it wasn't just about love or money, was it?
Mhm.
It was about securing a place in a world that offered him ultimate safety.
Precisely. And you see that same dynamic with his stepson, Lord Bullingdon.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Right. Instead of building a genuine father-son bond, Barry approaches it like a chess match.
A power struggle.
Exactly.
It's almost sad.
Yeah.
You could see moments where Barry seems to want a real connection, but then that fear kicks in and it's back to manipulation.
It's like he's trapped in this cycle, always trying to build that ideal world Chestnut talks about.
The primordial paradise state.
Yeah, where every need is met, every threat neutralized, and he can finally let go of the fear.
But the irony is, the harder he tries to control everything, the more unstable his world becomes.
It's like building a house of cards on a windy day. Every little power play just makes it more likely to collapse.
And then there's the role of pleasure in all of this. It's not just about ambition, right? It's about how the things we seek for comfort can actually destroy
Well,
us.
now you're getting it.
Wait, are you saying Barry's fondness for lavish parties and fine wine was a bad thing?
Not necessarily. But for Self-Preservation 7, pleasure can be a tricky thing.
How so?
Well, it offers a temporary escape from that fear of deprivation.
Okay.
But it can also be a distraction, a way to avoid dealing with those deeper emotional needs.
So Barry's pursuit of pleasure was just another form of control.
In a way, yeah, a way to numb himself to the anxiety he couldn't escape.
And as the story goes on, we see those pleasures become more and more destructive,
Right. It becomes less about enjoyment and more about keeping up appearances.
maintaining that illusion of control.
Exactly. The cracks are starting to show in Barry's fortress, and he's trying to cover them up with wealth and pleasure.
But it's not going to hold forever, is it?
Nope. And as we move into the final act of Barry's story, we'll see those cracks widen, leading to his ultimate downfall.
It's almost Shakespearean, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit. This tragic hero, driven by his inner demons, destined to fall from grace.
It's a reminder that true security can't be found in things in power or wealth. It has to come from within.
Absolutely. And as we explore the final chapter of Barry Lyndon's story, we'll see how the lack of that inner security leads to his undoing. So we've been digging into Barry Lyndon, looking at him as the Self-Preservation 7.
This guy who's all about control, building that fortress of security.
Exactly. But now, as we reach the end of his story, things are about to unravel. Big time.
It feels like everything he's worked for, it's all going to crumble.
It does, doesn't it? And we've seen the warning signs all along.
Right from the beginning.
His need for power, the way he uses people, those strategic alliances, they all paved the way for this downfall.
And at the center of it all, that volatile relationship with his stepson, Lord Bullingdon.
Oh, yeah. That's a powder keg just waiting to explode.
It's like a Greek tragedy or something. You can see the disaster coming, but nobody can stop it.
And what makes it so tragic is that Barry tries so hard to control Bullingdon.
Right, mold him into the perfect heir.
But it all backfires. Spectacularly.
Because deep down, Barry can't connect, can he?
No, not really. His need for control, it pushes everyone away.
Even Lady Lyndon. I mean, there were moments, right?
Sure, glimmers of something real, but it's always overshadowed by his manipulation, his need to be the one in charge.
It's sad, actually, because you can tell he wants that connection.
He does. But that fear, that terror of vulnerability, it sabotages everything.
And as his world starts to fall apart, as those manipulations are exposed,
That fear just takes over, doesn't it?
it does. He makes reckless choices, doubles down on trying to control everything.
But the more he grasps, the more slips through his fingers.
It's like that final duel with Bullingdon. It's not just about pride, right?
Yeah.
It's this desperate attempt to prove he's still in control.
A last stand to hold on to that power.
But of course it backfires.
Of course.
And when he's given that awful choice, death or humiliation,
We see the true cost of his obsession with security.
powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that real security doesn't come from power or money.
Right. It's not external.
It's about something deeper, something within yourself.
Absolutely. It's a lesson Barry Lyndon learns too late.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive, wouldn't you say?
It really has. I mean, Barry Lyndon, he's such a compelling character.
He is. And looking at him through this Enneagram lens, it's like we unlocked a whole new level of understanding.
We did, not just about him, but about human nature in general.
The ways we try to protect ourselves, the things we're all searching for.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even the most unsympathetic characters, they're driven by these basic human needs.
A need to feel safe, loved, in control.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for joining us on this journey through the world of Barry Lyndon and the Self-Preservation 7.
It's been a pleasure. Hopefully it's given you all some new insights.
Into yourselves, maybe even.
Maybe even.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.